Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm a full-time reseller on both eBay and Amazon. And today I'm going to be giving you all of my obsessive data checking about shipping supplies. I took all of the top providers for shipping supplies and pitted them in a head-to-head battle to see who came out on top, who offers the best prices on all kinds of shipping supplies. We're talking about tape, bubble mailers, boxes, and so much more. So you're going to want to stick around to the end of the video to see everything and hopefully get pointed in the direction of who's offering the best prices on the shipping supplies you order most. Now let's head back inside where there's not so many noisy cicadas and get into it. Yes, so this video is going to be all about boxes, shipping supplies, tape, all sorts of good stuff. What I'm not going to do, what the point of this video is not going to be, is pointing you at like one listing or one vendor and saying this is the end all be all greatest place to go to get your stuff, because it doesn't really work like that. The prices are always fluctuating, and what might be the best deal today might not be the best deal tomorrow. So we're actually going to look at several different providers that do shipping supplies. We're going to compare prices a little bit, and we're going to look at a general sort of direction, like this is the vendor you might want to look at for this product. This is a vendor you might want to look at for this product. Whether it works for you or not is going to be up to you. I figure it never hurts to look at the data and make informed decisions. So I'm going to show you what works for my full-time reselling business, what I use in my day-to-day work. And if it works for your reselling business as well, great. So stick around if you want to see how a full-time reseller does shipping supplies, and maybe, just maybe, you'll learn about a new vendor and maybe save a little money on your business's shipping supplies as well. So I started by asking my Instagram followers where they get their shipping supplies from, because I wanted to build a pool of potential candidates that we could use to, cross-examine and see who's charging what for what, and figure out what vendors might be the best ones to look at for specific products. The places that were mentioned the most were eBay, Amazon, The Boxery, Uline, American Bubble Boy, You Pack and Ship, and I did see one person mention Granger. I think that's a super important point to make, is obviously it should go without saying that the best shipping supplies you can get is free shipping supplies. So if you have a source for free boxes, stick with it. Ask your extended friends and family if they can save their Amazon boxes for you. Maybe make a post on your local Facebook group or Facebook Marketplace that you will take, people's used boxes, bubble wrap, anything like that. And people will usually be happy to pile up some boxes for you and give them to you for free. So the number one place to get shipping boxes is obviously from anybody who will give them to you for free. But if you can't get your shipping supplies for free, I certainly can't get every bit of shipping supplies I need to run my business for free. It's just not sustainable. I put all of those companies into my spreadsheet and started digging for product prices to compare. Round one is going to be poly mailers. This is a green poly mailer. I recommend using white. I only have green on hand right now in this small size. I use these for my Etsy business because I like having a little bit of color that goes with my branding. But for the most part, I would not recommend paying extra for pretty mailers. I know a lot of people like to do it because it just sends a nice message. But if you're at any sort of scale with your business, you will save money just sticking with white mailers and maybe just putting a nice sticker on it if you want to personalize it. But I would stick with white mailers. Poly mailers are an essential tool in the reseller's shipping arsenal because these are great for shipping clothes, backpacks, plush toys, anything that's not going to get damaged from being squished or stepped on or, crushed. And if you need a little extra protection, you can step up to a bubble mailer. You can put little toys in here, like little tins, occasionally some beauty products. So one thing about bubble mailers though is I will not put anything breakable, crushable, or creasable in one of these. Because I know a lot of people like to put DVD type cases, like either for games or video game or movies in here, or jewel cases like CDs or video games in here. I would recommend not doing that because people get upset if you just put something in a bubble mailer and then it comes like it's been stepped on or crushed. So if any amount of weight is going to snap or crease something that you put in here, just use a box. Don't cheap out and use a mailer. Unless you have the room to bubble wrap the item that's gonna go in the mailer, so you have kind of like 2 layers of bubble wrap protection, then you can kind of get away with it. There's a reason I personally tend to get feedback that indicates that I shipped and packed something well, because I don't put a lot of stuff in these unless it's like a molded plastic toy or like a magnet or something that's not gonna get super damaged. If I jump up and down on this item, is it going to get damaged? If the answer is no, put it in a mailer. If the answer is yes, use a box. Ori has arrived, everyone. We'll see if he sticks around. And when I sat down to figure out who had the best prices on poly mailers and bubble mailers, I quickly realized that was not gonna work, because like I said earlier, prices are always fluctuating. And so it's gonna be an impossible thing to be like, this is the absolute best deal on poly mailers, go to this listing on eBay. So I'm gonna give you a general look at what suppliers I think are best for these products. For poly mailers, I picked a 9x12. I think that's actually the size I have here on hand. It's a good general size, like I can fit t-shirts and stuff in here, no problem. You can order whatever quantity you want. They tend to come in as little as 25 mailers up into the thousands. I tend to order them in packs of 100. I find that's a good quantity for me. You Pack and Ship was a very popular mention for mailers, and they did have a lot of printed mailers, so I feel like if you're into the printed poly bags and the pretty poly bags for your business, that's gonna be where you wanna go if that's like a really important feature to you. Definitely look at You Pack and Ship. But if you just wanna save money and you just wanna go with white, they were not the best option. You Pack and Ship had 25 mailers shipped for $6.94, which you would think is a pretty good deal, until you check eBay and Amazon and you see there are mailer listings as low as $7.99 for 100 mailers. So it no longer really makes sense to buy that smaller pack when for $1 more you get 4 times the mailers. The trouble with looking at Amazon though is not everyone has Amazon Prime. So not everyone could take advantage of those prices. The prices on eBay were not too bad though compared to Amazon. So if you don't have Amazon Prime to take advantage of that $7.99 for 100, I did find that Supply Hut on eBay had a pack of 100 for $11.75. When shopping around for bags, there are 3 things you want to keep in mind. One is you need to compare the mils of the bag, which is the thickness. So you might find a listing where something is really cheap, but then you look and the mils and the bag is actually like really thin, and that's why it's significantly cheaper than the competition. So you really want to pay attention to thickness where possible. Number 2 is you want to look at who is selling the bags. Is this an established account that tends to sell a lot of shipping supplies? Or is this a brand new 1-0 feedback account that might be doing a too good to be true scam, or is drop shipping, which also leads into number 3, which is how fast are they shipping the bags? Because there are a lot of shipping supply providers where the price is really good, but you'll look and they have a really long lead time. Like you might not get these bags for 2 weeks or more. So those are probably drop shippers or people getting them from AliExpress or something like that. So it's up to you if you want to take a risk on those kind of accounts, but I personally don't. So let's apply that to this Amazon listing, which had the best price. It doesn't list how many mils the bag is, which tells me it might be on the thin side. If we look at the feedback, they're also saying that the bag might be a little bit on the thin side. Depending on what you ship, that might be fine. I've actually ordered from some of these listings before where people are complaining that the bag is really thin, but I don't ship things that are very heavy in these mailers. It's usually like a plush toy or something. And with that, I'm also not shipping anything that's like jagged or might rip through the bag. So for me, the thinner bags work. But if you're looking at the kind of things you ship and you think it's actually kind of heavy and might tear through the bag, then you're gonna wanna pay attention to mils, and you're gonna wanna pick a thicker 2.5 to 3 mil thick bag, and you wouldn't wanna go below 2 mils. So to summarize my information about buying poly mailers, Amazon Prime had the best prices on poly mailers, with eBay in a close second. You Pack and Ship had the best choices for pretty mailers, but Granger, Uline, and the Boxery were all significantly more expensive, so they do not win in the battle of the poly bags. And a lot of the same information can be applied to our next category, which was the bubble mailers, both poly bubble mailers and craft bubble mailers. I don't really have a recommendation on which mailer type you should go with. They're both gonna get the job done. The main thing you wanna think about though is the drawback of craft mailers is they are not waterproof. So if this gets delivered in the rain, or if you're shipping beauty products and something happens to leak out, this is gonna get ruined on the outside. Whereas with the poly ones, this is basically waterproof. Like, you're not gonna have the same issue. And I was also looking, because I'm like, if this has a significant drawback, perhaps it's significantly cheaper. And it really wasn't. There wasn't much of a price difference between craft mailers and poly mailers when it comes to bubble ones. So I guess you'd want to go with poly. I guess I am going to recommend sticking with poly. I only have these craft ones because, like, I think I got them at the thrift super cheap. Again, that goes into what I'm saying. If you can find something cheap enough, that's the best shipping supply. For bubble mailers, I compared the 8.5 by 12 size, which is called a number 2 mailer. Again, in both packs of 25 and 100 to see if there are any significant price breaks. And again, Amazon Prime had the best price on bubble mailers. But again, it might have issues with the quality. It might be a little thinner, and that's why they're able to get the price so low. But this particular product is sold and shipped by Amazon. So you do get the advantage of, if you get it and you're like, these are absolute crap, I can't use them, just send them back. It's completely hassle-free. So it basically costs you nothing but time to see if this product's gonna work for you. And if it doesn't, then you move on to our second runner-up for this category, which was eBay. I did find a $27.99 listing on eBay. The rest of the competition was in the $30 range. So if you don't want to buy from Amazon, you don't want to buy from eBay, it seems like around $30 for 100 mailers in the 8.5 by 12 size is about what you're going to be paying. So when it comes to mailers, Amazon's pulling ahead in this fight. You'll find the best prices on those supplies if you happen to have a Prime membership. And if not, then eBay was the second runner-up. So right now, none of the big names like U-Pack and Ship and Granger, Uline, and the Boxery, they're not really pulling their weight yet. But we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is boxes. We're gonna talk about boxes now. I chose a few different box sizes to compare for this video. Two of my favorite small ones. This is a 6x4x4. I probably use this size box more than anything else. It is my _1 box size. Because like I said, I tend to ship lots of smalls. So this is a great smalls box. And then the one size up from this is the 8x6x4. I use those pretty consistently as well. And then I also picked 2 larger size boxes to see if perhaps larger boxes might be better from one supplier, whereas smaller boxes might be better from one supplier. But that's not really what I found. When it comes to ordering boxes, they tend to come in bundles of 25. And some providers will give you a lower price per box if you order multiple bundles. So for the sizes I looked at, both the small boxes and the bigger boxes, in bundles of 25 or more, not a single box provider beat the Granger Supply pickup price. Not a single one. Because it makes sense if you think about it. A bundle of boxes is not cheap to ship. Like, it's significantly heavy. So you're basically just paying for the boxes and you're not paying the shipping. So even if a provider is saying it's free shipping, we all know that free shipping is just rolled into the item. So being able to just pick them up from a warehouse saves you a significant amount of money. The only time I found a slightly better deal was through Walmart.com on their bundles of pen plus gear boxes. They don't have a lot of sizes available, but for the sizes they do have available, they were the winner, but only if you have the Walmart Plus subscription that makes their shipping free. Otherwise, the Granger Supply pickup price was still the winner. For instance, on a 12 by 10 by 8 box, the Granger Supply pickup price was $21.75. Walmart's pen plus gear boxes were $22.17, but you get 30 of them. And again, only if you can get the shipping for free. If you have to pay for the shipping on that bundle, meaning you don't have Walmart Plus, and I didn't see an option to ship to store either, unfortunately, it's no longer competitive. Outside of the Granger Supply pickup price, all of the other providers were kind of in similar price ranges. Amazon Prime, again, had some deals to be found depending on the size of the box, so I would look there first. I was also surprised to see that Uline, if you needed to have your boxes shipped to you, was not as bad as I thought. So again, if you were somebody who ruled Uline out for being too expensive, it still might be worth looking into. So the tier list went Grainger Pickup, Amazon Prime, Uline, or eBay. And of course, the caveat with Grainger Pickup is that you have to be within driving distance of one of the Grainger locations to take advantage of this. Luckily, Grainger has 200 locations nationwide in all states except for Vermont. Sorry, Vermont. But Heather, what about the gas? You're spending money on gas to go pick up those boxes. Aha, I got you. It's no longer a deal, right? I mean, that's gonna depend on some factors. My car gets 36 miles to the gallon and my Grainger supply is 20 miles away, which means a round trip is 40 miles, meaning I spend 1.11 gallons of gas to pick up my boxes. Regrettably, it takes premium, so it does cost me a little bit more in gas, but it's still less than $5 for the trip, which is significantly less than the cost it would be to ship it to me. So I'm still saving money. And then on top of it, while I'm out there, I'm sourcing. I'm going to the Goodwills in that town that I don't normally go to anyway. And I can usually find some stuff to make the trip worth it. Because I'm never just gonna go there, pick up boxes and go home. I'm gonna do some other stuff while I'm in the area to make the trip worth it. So I don't see driving to pick up the boxes as a con in this case, but depending on your vehicle and how far away you are, it might be. But you may also be able to pool your box orders and make like a few large orders at once instead of a bunch of small orders where you have to go pick up constantly. And that could make the trips worth it as well. And there's another thing about Grainger I want to tell you about that could also change the game for you, is that Grainger has their own kind of prime shipping system going on called the Red Pass Plus. It's $139 a year, but you get free next day shipping and up to 15% off of your order. So the way the math works out with that is if you're currently spending over $139 on shipping a year from like any place you're ordering boxes from, and remember they put the shipping in the boxes and say free shipping, so you gotta think about it that way too. Or if you spend over $930 a year on your boxes, the Red Pass Plus might be able to save you some money. So look over your records, figure out how much you're spending and see if this program might be worth it for you. And you might notice that I haven't been speaking about the Boxery much, and that's because I was actually really surprised to find when I was comparing their prices. They have their own website and they also have a presence on eBay and Amazon where they sell the exact same products. And under no circumstances was buying directly from their website cheaper than buying from them on eBay or Amazon. Some of the stuff was cheaper on eBay and some of the stuff was cheaper on Amazon. So if you're somebody that orders direct from the Boxery website, stop doing that. You can if they sell it on their eBay or Amazon store, it's cheaper there. And I don't know why. Moving on to our next category, we're gonna talk about bubble wrap and tape. I like to order my bubble wrap 700 feet at a time, usually in 350 foot rolls. eBay and Amazon do have the best prices on 700 feet of bubble wrap. They're both around $33 for that 700 feet, but I will tell you that I don't personally buy the Amazon or eBay bubble wraps anymore. There were times in the past where I would order a bubble wrap from either eBay or Amazon, and they will update you with a tracking number, and then you look and it just says that the label has been created. For sometimes weeks, it took at one point literally a month to get my bubble wrap. And because they've uploaded a shipping number, you can't point to them and say they haven't shipped it yet, because they'll just say, oh, the tracking hasn't updated. So that happened to me several times and was really annoying. And then there were other times where I'd get the bubble wrap and it would be like flat, like they hadn't filled several chambers of bubbles up. And like the whole wrap would basically just be plastic. And I'd be like, this is worthless to me, obviously, because it's no longer bubble wrap, it's just plastic wrap. Or it'd be the kind where the second you touch it, like you don't have to press very hard and the bubbles would just deflate. So it became a gamble, like, oh, I'm gonna order bubble wrap from this person on eBay, but I have no idea when I'm gonna get it, and I have no idea what condition it's gonna be in. So I've personally been spending a little bit more and buying it straight from American Bubble Boy. Unlike the Boxery, they are actually cheaper on their own website. They do sell on Amazon as well, but when I was looking at the prices, they were cheaper on their own website. Their cheapest bubble wrap is $38 for 700 feet, but it's a 1/8 bubble. And if you want the 3/16 bubble, which is kind of like the standard small size, it's $48. So a little bit more than the $33 bubbles on eBay and Amazon, but you're gonna get a consistent product. Like, I've not had any issues with their perforations. I haven't had any issues where I get one and the bubbles are all deflated or they pop the second you touch them. And they've always come within a couple days. Like, I've never had an issue with their shipping. So it was one of those instances where even though I can get it less, I'm paying for the quality and the consistency of their product. So that's why I recommend American Bubble Boy for bubble wrap. But if you've been ordering from the other vendors on eBay and Amazon that are cheaper and you haven't been burned like I have, then by all means, keep buying from them. The one thing I will caution against with American Bubble Boy's bubble wrap is to avoid their recycled bubble wrap. I bought it once because they had it on sale and it was pretty cheap, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. It was one of the worst bubble wraps I've ever used. The wrap itself would come horizontally off the roll, like it would unravel itself because the product was so slippery. It was like a very odd texture. And it wouldn't stay wound on the roll. So like the whole roll ended up unraveling itself. And I had to like roll it up myself in small bundles to try and contain it, because it, like 700 feet of bubble wrap just coming undone at once was a nightmare. So I would absolutely never buy that product again. I wouldn't recommend it even if they have it on sale. When it comes to tape, our next subject is going to be about tape. There's a couple of things to consider. Tape usually comes in a 2-inch or a 3-inch width, and the standards are 110 yards per roll and 36 rolls per case. So that was the quantity I was looking at to compare across the vendors. I personally use 2-inch tape because, like I said, this is probably my most common box size. A 3-inch tape would be overkill for this. Like, 2 inches works just fine. And plus, a 3-inch tape is just bigger and requires a 3-inch tape dispenser, and it's unwieldy, and like, I just like the smaller and easier setup of 2-inch tape. But if you're someone who ships a lot of larger packages and doesn't mind using a tape gun, then a 3-inch tape setup might be better for you. This is the 2-inch tape dispenser that I use. I've used many little 2-inch tape dispensers and guns and stuff. This is my tried and true. I love this product so much. It's only $10 on Amazon, and I would urge you to give it a try and see if you like it as much as I do. It's super agile. This is how I personally use it to tape my boxes shut. You know, just pull a little strip out and tape it down and cut it off. This is how I've adapted to taping my boxes, and I cannot go back to using anything else. Give this little tape dispenser a try and see if you like it. Especially if you don't like tape guns. If you're somebody who hates tape guns, you're probably gonna love this. So some things you wanna keep in mind with tape is you wanna compare total yards you're getting per pack and the number of mils. Again, like the poly mailers, you wanna look at the mils for how thick it is. The thinner tapes, like under 2 mils, tear easier and tend to shred more. Like that thing where you go to make a clean edge when you cut the tape off and it just sort of like wants to shred on itself and stick to the roll, and then you have to spend all this time like resetting a flat cut in the roll. I've had that happen so many times with super cheap rolls of tape that I will steer clear of cheap tape at all costs. So if we know the standard is 110 yards per roll and 36 rolls per case, that gives us a comparable yardage of 3,960. The best price I found on that quantity of tape was on eBay for $42.45. But as we just stated, cheaper tends to mean thinner, and in this case, that's what's happening. It's a 1.6 mil lightweight tape. I don't personally like to go below 2 mils for my tape. Amazon has a 2.2 mil tape for $47.99 for that quantity, and that's a pretty good deal. Lately, I've personally been getting my tape from American Bubble Boy when I order my bubble wrap. They just released their own line of packaging tape. It's a 2 mil packaging tape for $54, so it's $6 more than the Amazon tape and 0.2 less mils. But again, I was just kind of throwing it in with my orders out of convenience. And I like the tape. It doesn't have that bad smell that some of the tapes I've used have. And the 2 mils is perfectly fine for me. I haven't had any issues with it shredding or any of that kind of stuff. The Boxery does not list how thick their tape was, so I could not compare prices on that accurately. And U Pack and Ship has 2 mil tape in that quantity, but it was a little more expensive than the American Bubble Boy tape, so I would either stick with the Amazon tape or the Bubble Boy tape. And for both bubble wrap and tape, Granger and Uline were like twice as expensive as everyone else. So they might win when it comes to boxes, but they don't win when it comes to tape and bubble wrap. So I would not use them for that. Now time for some rapid fire miscellaneous shipping supplies that I use for my reselling business. I gotta sit all the way back here to try and get it in. This is my preferred dunnage, meaning what I use to fill the voids in my boxes around my product so that the product doesn't, you know, clank around in the box and get damaged. This is a Pen Plus Gear, that's brand, right? Yeah, Walmart. Walmart Pen Plus Gear, 24 by 24 sheets, and you get 220 sheets. And I think this is only 10 bucks. I have to double check. Yeah, this is $10.72 at Walmart. You get a ton of paper. And I know some people like to use the craft paper rolls, the brown craft paper rolls in their reselling setup, but I don't have anywhere to put a large roll of craft paper. I ship out of my kitchen. I do all of my packing and shipping at my kitchen counter. So I need pre-cut sheets, and having it in this nice little bag, I can just pull a sheet out when I need it, crinkle it up, put it in the box. It's the setup that works best for me. And I think when I compared the prices per square feet that you actually get, this is still like the winner, even when it comes to the craft paper rolls, unless you can get a giant roll for super cheap. Because the weight, this is very heavy. So being able to just go to Walmart and get it means you're gonna save money on anybody versus anybody that you're gonna have to buy it and have shipped. This is another product that I would say I can't live without. I use packing paper every single day for basically every single shipment. And 10 bucks, this lasts me a while. I can't recommend it enough. This is another can't miss product that I love. It is the Kenco Sealer. So this comes in a large roll in different sizes. This is the 6" by 3/4" straps. And what this is used for is if you're a beauty product seller and you have like a shampoo bottle or something that has a like a pop top, this will keep the top from popping up in shipping. And you don't want to use packaging tape for this because it's going to leave a residue and the customer is going to complain. These leave absolutely no residue, and they have this nice little pull tab so you can just pull it off, or the customer can pull it off rather when they get it. And it just adds a really nice professional packaging flair. And also, you know, you're not gonna have to worry about products leaking in transit. There's another product called the Gripper that does the same kind of thing, but I've gotten products with the gripper on them before, and the gripper is such a pain to pull off because it grips really well. This does the job for the most part while being way easier to remove for the end customer. So if you're a beauty supplies seller or somebody that ships leakables, you definitely need to get yourself a roll of these Kenco Sealers. They are $15 for a roll of 250, I believe, on Amazon. So that can last you quite a while. I also have a box resizer. I don't know how much I would recommend. Like, I don't know how much this is a need to have product, but it's saved me in several instances. So it's nice to have on hand. What it does is you can make a perforation around a box so that you can cleanly fold it down smaller and make a larger box folded down into a smaller box. Like if you have too much volume, you can fold it down so it's not as deep. Way easier than doing it by hand. Obviously, I would rather just have a box on hand that's the right size, but sometimes you just don't. A shipping scale is a must. Again, that's a product I use every single day for every single shipment, so I can't recommend having a shipping scale enough. The personal one that I use, I bought a very long time ago. I don't even think they make it anymore, but it is a 10-pound scale that can do ounces, and I think that's a good overall size to have. You want anything that can do ounces, and some scales are only up to 3 pounds, some are 5 pounds, some are 10 pounds, some are 50 pounds. The vast majority of what I sell is under 10 pounds, so this is what I use as a day-to-day scale. But anything that fits those specifications is gonna be fine for you. If you ship a lot of heavy boxes, you might benefit from having a 50-pound scale laying around. I have one with a corded screen that comes in handy, but I found it at the Goodwill for $5. So that's what works best for me because it was cheap. But before I had it, and the rare times I would have a box that was over 10 pounds, I would do the bathroom scale trick where I would stand on the bathroom scale and get my weight, hold the box, stand on the scale again and get the weight, and subtract the two to get a general weight on the box. So that's a quick and dirty way you can do it if you don't have a scale that can do enough weight. And lastly, I use a Rollo printer for my shipping labels. Obviously, if you can spring for a thermal printer, you won't regret it. They make life so much easier. I use the free UPS labels, the fan fold labels, because I don't really have space for a roll setup, and I've had no issues with that. I love printing my thermal labels. But what I did before I had a thermal label printer is I would just send the sheets to my printer, cut them out with scissors, and then tape them onto my boxes. So you don't need a fancy label printer setup to still be able to ship your own packages and your own postage at home. But there's no shame in the cut and tape game. I did that for a number of years when I was first starting out. That is everything I have to say about shipping supplies today. I hope you learned where you should probably look for some cheap poly mailers and boxes and tape and bubble wrap and packing paper and all the good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so because I put out at least one video a month all about my full-time reseller adventures, be it reselling on Amazon, doing retail arbitrage, or picking stuff up at the thrift to sell on eBay. Follow me on Instagram if you want little bite-sized pieces of my content. I do what I'm picking up at the thrift in my stories and what I've been selling on eBay. If you've already done both of those things, I love you so much. You are my favorite kind of viewer. So consider leaving me a like instead. Likes, much like comments, help the video grow and help this channel grow, so you are helping me in a free way. So also leave me a comment about your shipping supplies, where you get your shipping supplies from, if you've found any deals that I haven't and you want to share them with the class. Or if you found a new place because of something I said. Hopefully there's a Granger supply somewhere near you and I've turned you onto them and you can save some money on your shipping supplies. Now get out there, have fun, and find something good.